You've got 100 Maya warriors with their spear throwers, bows, and razor-sharp obsidian weapons going up against 300 Spartans in full battle gear. Who wins? The answer actually depends on where they're fighting, and trust me, it's way more interesting than you think. Here's the deal up front. If these two groups meet on flat open ground, Spartans are probably going to win. They've got 3 times as many guys, plus that insane shield wall formation that basically turns them into a human tank. Throw them into thick jungle, or give the Maya some walls to hide behind, and suddenly this fight gets flipped on its head. The Maya can use hit-and-run tactics, shoot from cover, and slowly pick apart the Spartans without ever getting close to those spears. Back in 425 BCE, some Athenian troops trapped a group of Spartans on this rocky island called Sphacteria. They just kept shooting arrows and throwing rocks at them, and the Spartans couldn't catch them. These were Spartans, the guys who supposedly never surrender, and they surrendered. Terrain matters a lot. When you think of 300 Spartans, you're probably thinking of King Leonidas and his crew at Thermopylae from the movie. In the real battle, those 300 had thousands of other Greek soldiers with them. For this matchup, we're talking about 300 Spartan heavy infantry from around the 5th century BCE. These guys went through that brutal Spartan training program where they basically tortured kids into becoming perfect soldiers. They carried huge round shields called an aspis, a long spear called a doru, helmets, chest armor made of either bronze or this tough layered linen stuff, and a short sword as a backup weapon. The Maya civilization lasted thousands of years and covered a massive area of Central America. To keep this fair, we're looking at Maya warriors from the late Classic period, roughly 600 to 900 CE. These guys carried all kinds of weapons. They had this thing called an atlatl, which is basically a stick that helps you throw spears way harder and faster than you could by hand. They had bows and arrows that became super common later on. They used slings to whip stones at people. Up close, they fought with spears and clubs that had obsidian blades stuck in them. For protection, they wore thick, quilted cotton armor and carried shields made from wood or animal hide. One big difference in Maya warfare is they don't always try to kill everyone. Capturing important enemy warriors was actually a huge deal for them. Spartans were designed to line up on flat ground and charge straight into you like a battering ram. Maya warfare was way more flexible. They fought in jungles, used ambushes all the time, built defensive walls, and loved shooting at people from a distance. They weren't trying to have one big clash and call it a day. The Spartan shield was everything to them. This thing was curved like a big bowl, made of wood with bronze on it. It was about 3 feet across. It weighed between 14 and 18 pounds. You'd rest the rim on your shoulder, and it had this special grip that helps you hold it steady when you're standing shoulder to shoulder with your buddies. The shield protected the guy standing next to you on your left, and his shield protected you. That's how the whole formation worked. The Spartan spear was their main weapon. It was like 7 to 10 feet long with an iron point on one end and a bronze spike on the other. You'd stab with it from behind your shield, trying to hit the enemy in front of you. Their armor was either bronze chest plates or that layered linen armor that modern tests show actually works pretty well against arrows. They also wore helmets and shin guards. The real advantage was the training. These guys could hold their formation even when things got crazy. They'd line up about 8 rows deep, and that discipline was their real superpower. Now, the Maya had a totally different setup. Their main thing was ranged weapons. Their atlatl spear thrower could launch a dart at speeds between 40 and 80 miles per hour. The best range for actually hitting stuff was about 30 to 100 feet, though a really good thrower could go farther. Bows and arrows show up in Maya archaeological sites, and they became really popular later in their history. Slings were everywhere in Central America, and the Maya definitely used them too. For close fighting, they had spears, clubs, and weapons with obsidian edges. Obsidian is this volcanic glass that's actually sharper than steel, like scary sharp. It's also brittle, so it's amazing against bare skin, but can chip or break if you hit something hard like a bronze helmet. The famous Aztec sword club with obsidian blades, the macahuitl, gets talked about a lot, but that's specifically Aztec. The Maya had similar weapons, but we shouldn't assume they were exactly the same. Their defensive gear was quilted cotton armor and shields. The Spanish called it escopio. It protected you from cuts and absorbed a lot of arrow hits. It was so good in hot, humid climates, the Spanish conquistadors started wearing it instead of their own metal armor. Spanish writers who were actually there, like Diego de Landa and Bernal Diaz, wrote about seeing it in action. Both sides have decent protection against arrows and projectiles. The Spartans have massive shields, helmets, and body armor. The Maya have shields and that padded cotton that's actually pretty solid. That cotton armor is great against slashes and arrows, but it's not going to stop a spear thrust from a guy who has 200 other guys pushing behind him. The Spanish sources that praised the cotton armor never said it could stop a heavy spear stab. It was good for what it was designed for, but it wasn't magic. The Spartan weighs the phalanx, a tight line of overlapping shields, 8 rows deep, with spears sticking out between the shields. On flat ground, this thing is unstoppable. It moves forward as one unit and just crushes whatever's in front of it. Ancient writers and modern historians agree the normal depth was 8 rows. The system's incredibly strong from the front, but really awkward on rough ground or when guys with bows keep shooting at you and running away before you can catch them. The classic way to beat Hoplites is not to stand in front of them. You shoot at them and keep moving, never letting them get close. At Sphacteria, Athenian light troops with bows and slings just refused to fight hand-to-hand. They kept shooting from rocky ground, and the Spartans couldn't do anything about it. Spartans didn't carry bows or slings themselves. Their answer to archers was simple: run at them really fast. At the Battle of Marathon, when they faced Persian archers, they literally sprinted the last 200 yards to get into stabbing range faster. Smart move because it cut down the time they spent getting shot at. Maya fighting was completely different. They mixed ranged weapons with close combat and used terrain really cleverly. Built ambushes into their war plans. Archaeological evidence shows they built serious fortifications, moats and dirt walls and wooden fences. A place called Bakan is a perfect example. Their art and writings show they really valued capturing important prisoners, but the archaeological evidence also shows they killed plenty of regular soldiers. Later in their history, production of spear thrower darts and arrows went way up, which suggests warfare was getting more intense. A group of 100 Maya warriors is a hit-and-run force that can shoot, move, disappear, and punish a slow, heavily armored enemy that has to stay in tight formation to work. Those Atlatl darts are flying at 40 to 80 miles per hour, and they're most accurate between 30 and 100 feet. Hitting a moving target that's mostly covered by a huge shield is tough. Bows add more firepower. Against an advancing phalanx, arrows can hit the parts that aren't covered, like faces, thighs, arms, and lower legs. Slings throwing rocks can knock you out, break bones, or just hurt like hell. They're dangerous if they hit your head or hands, less dangerous against helmets and big shields, but still a problem. The Greeks were actually scared of slingers, and Sphacteria proved why. That Spartan shield, about 3 feet across, is basically a wall. When you're in formation, it overlaps with the shields next to you, so you're barely exposed from the front. You can tilt it up when stuff is raining down on you, but you can't cover overhead like the Romans did later. The helmet bounces off rocks that don't hit straight on. The chest armor and shin guards stop a lot of arrows. Modern reconstructions of that linen armor show it actually stops arrows pretty well even up close. The spear is all about reach and penetration. A spear thrust puts all its force on one small iron point. Cotton armor is great against slashes and many arrows, but way less effective against a hard stab from a guy with 300 friends behind him. Missiles will hurt the phalanx. They'll hit hands, thighs, faces, all the exposed spots, but if the formation keeps moving forward and stays together, the moment that matters is when they get into spear range. At that point, a lightly armored guy who can't match the spear's reach is in deep trouble. The Spartans need to get there without falling apart. The Maya need to make sure they never get there at all. First scenario, open flat ground, straightforward fight. Spartans form up in that phalanx 8 rows deep, which comes out to about 35 to 40 guys across the front. That's a line about 110 to 120 feet wide. The 100 Maya spread out with skirmishers in front and small groups on the side. The Maya start shooting arrows, darts, and rocks. As the Spartans get closer, they raise their shields and pack in tighter. They probably run the last bit, just like at Marathon. Some Spartans go down or get wounded. A lot of missiles bounce off shields or armor, then contact. Once those spear points hit the Maya skirmish line, everything changes. A hoplite line can kill and push. A skirmish line that tries to stand in front of it gets destroyed. A few Maya might try to fight up close with spears or clubs, but their reach isn't as good and their armor isn't as protective against mass spear thrust from guys locked into formation. Cotton armor doesn't stop a spear point driven by an entire formation. The smart move for the Maya is to get out of there and keep shooting from the sides. That means giving up, though. Ancient hoplites sucked at chasing people because they were carrying so much heavy gear. Spartans had better discipline than most, but they're still not running anyone down in full armor. Even so, you've broken a smaller, more lightly armored force on open ground. Spartans have 3 times as many guys. There are just more spears to threaten anyone who tries to resist. Result? Spartan victory. They'll have casualties from getting shot on the way in, but once they reach stabbing range, it's over. We've actually seen this before in history. The Battle of Marathon is the textbook example. That was Athenians, not Spartans, but same basic idea. Open ground plays to the phalanx's strengths and shuts down what skirmishers do best. Second scenario, rough ground with brush, ditches, broken sight lines. The Spartans can't keep that nice straight line. Small ravines and bushes break up their formation, which is their whole thing. The Maya spread into cover, giving up mass for better shooting angles. Every time the Spartans push into rough ground, their formation spreads out and their teamwork falls apart. That's exactly when missiles hurt the most. The Spartans can't catch guys who pop out, shoot, and disappear. Heavy infantry harassed by light troops on bad terrain. The Spartans still have 300 guys. If the Maya stand and fight anywhere, they'll get overwhelmed. But if the Maya refuse to give them that fight and just keep shooting, hitting hands, thighs, faces, guys without shields up, Spartan casualties pile up and morale cracks. This can turn into a stalemate or a slow grind that favors the lighter side if they control when to fight. Without their own archers or slingers, Spartans can't really punish shooters except by moving forward and swapping out tired guys. Result? Unclear, but probably favors the Maya if they fight smart and never stand still. Third scenario, fortifications or a choke point. Maya cities had serious defensive works: ditches, dirt walls, wooden fences. Bacan is a great example. Even a basic dirt ditch and dirt wall with a fence on top kills the phalanx's advantage. It forces the Spartans to climb uphill under constant fire while squeezing through gaps where they can't maintain formation. Without siege equipment or light infantry to cover them, Spartans don't have many options. They can look for weak spots, which cost time and lives, or they can leave. Result? Maya hold if the Spartans have to attack prepared defenses without support. Spanish sources say the cotton armor was useful and stopped arrows and cuts well enough that Spaniards wore it themselves in the tropics. This doesn't make it as good as bronze or layered linen against formation spear thrust. Spanish praise was about comfort and arrow protection in hot climates, not stopping heavy stabs. Landa and Bernal Diaz wrote about what this armor could do. Obsidian is sharper than steel on a microscopic level, but it's brittle. Amazing against bare skin, not as reliable when you're hitting hard metal. It can chip and break. More importantly, reach and formation matter more than sharpness. A club with obsidian can't reach past a 7 to 10 foot spear held by guys in a tight line. The macahuitl everyone talks about is Aztec. Maya had similar stuff, but we need to be careful about saying they're identical. Bows and arrows show up in classic period Maya sites. At places like Aguateca and Copan, they found arrow points mixed in with dart and spear points. Later in Maya history, bows got even more common. Against spread-out missiles on open ground, a well-trained phalanx can advance, run the last bit, and win. Against missiles from rough ground where the shooters won't stand and fight, hoplites can get stuck. Specteria proves it. Terrain and tactics decide if missiles are just annoying or actually win the fight. You might want to calculate exactly how many arrows 100 Maya can shoot versus how many actually get through Spartan armor. Rate of fire changes. Accuracy while moving changes, wind matters, the target matters, and that shield covers most of the body. The psychology of charging at a wall of shields, spears, and armor matters too. At lateral accuracy is best between 30 and 100 feet. Past that, hits drop fast, especially against shielded targets. Darts can wound through gaps. Arrows can launch from farther out, but maybe 30 seconds of heavy shooting against a moving or running phalanx wounds dozens, not hundreds. Serious but not formation breaking. The phalanx can pack tighter and angle shields up in the danger zone. Once they're about one spear length away, the Maya skirmish lines has to run or die. Spartans have strong odds on flat ground. The window where missiles can do real damage is short. The cost of standing in front of that spear wall is death. You can't win hand-to-hand against a phalanx if you're lightly armored and outnumbered 3-1. If we expand from one battle to a whole campaign, things get complicated. Heat and humidity matter. The Yucatan lowlands are brutally hot and humid. The Greeks started wearing less bronze armor partly for this reason. Many wore that linen armor instead of full bronze. Even just the shield is heavy, and 300 guys can overheat on long marches. Cotton armor breathes way better, and Spaniards specifically chose it for tropical fighting. Over hours and days, staying hydrated and dealing with the heat favors the Maya. Fortifications and ambush spots change everything. Maya cities and roads could be designed to funnel attackers into bad positions. Sites like Bacan show the Maya understood defense. Speed matters too. A light mobile force picks where and when to fight. If Spartans have to chase them through brush and narrow paths, exhaustion and casualties add up. Spartans win when Maya are forced to stand and fight. Maya do best when they can choose their fights. Flat, open ground with no surprises. Spartan victory, probably decisive. Phalanx closes under fire and breaks the smaller Maya force. They spec wounded Spartans from arrows, darts, and rocks on the way in. Once they reach stabbing range, the gap in reach, protection, and numbers is overwhelming. On broken or wooded ground in a running fight, outcome leans Maya if they never stand still and have room to move. Sphacteria warns us heavy infantry can get trapped and shot to pieces if they can't close. For an assault on Maya fortifications, Maya hold unless Spartans bring siege tools and support troops. Attacking walls under missile fire isn't what Hoplites do. If the question is line them up and fight on flat ground, Spartans win more often than not. If it's who wins a campaign in Maya territory where the Maya pick the fights, Maya odds go way up. Not because they beat Hoplites head-to-head, but because they can avoid giving Hoplites the fight Hoplites are built to win. In that classic open field battle, 300 Spartans beat 100 Maya warriors. More guys, a formation designed for shot combat, and gear built for fighting on flat ground. Change it to thick jungle, rough terrain, or add defensive walls, and the Maya can flip the whole fight. Hoplites who can't close are just targets. History shows both outcomes depending on the situation. Which one happens depends entirely on where and how they fight.